Hey everyone, welcome to Story Room by Rico, where we bring you gripping tales of drama, betrayal, and the human spirit. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss a single story. Today, we're diving into a shocking new tale, the transgender CEO's double life, secrets that destroyed all. This is a story of ambition, secrets, and a tragic fall. A tech empire built on innovation, torn apart by hidden truths. Join us as we unravel the life of Alexandra Thornton, a CEO whose double life led to her ultimate destruction. Make sure to like, share, and also let us know in the comments section where you are watching from today. Let's get started. In the heart of San Francisco, where the skyline glitters like a constellation of ambition, one woman stood above them all. Alexandra Thornton, known to the world as Alex, was the embodiment of the American dream. At 45, she was the CEO of Horizon Innovations, a tech empire that had revolutionized artificial intelligence, making her a billionaire and a household name. On this night, at the annual Tech Vision Gala, Alex took the stage in a sleek black gown, her shoulder-length dark hair catching the golden spotlight. The crowd erupted in applause as she accepted the Innovator of the Year award, her sharp features softened by a confident smile. But beneath the polished exterior, Alex carried a secret, a double life that would soon unravel everything she had built. To the world, she was a trailblazer, a transgender woman who had transitioned publicly a decade ago, becoming a symbol of diversity in the corporate world. Born Alexandra Thornton in a small Ohio town, her childhood was marked by struggle, her father refusing to accept her truth while her mother offered quiet support. At 18, Alex moved to San Francisco, earned a degree from Stanford, and founded Horizon Innovations in her late 20s. Her transition at 35 made her a legend, the media calling her the face of the future. She married Lauren Bennett, her college sweetheart, who stood by her through it all, their love a quiet defiance against a world that often refused to understand. Yet, as Alex stood on that stage, her award gleaming in her hands, she felt the weight of a secret she had buried deep. For years, she had been the silent benefactor of an underground network, a lifeline for transgender teens escaping abusive homes, using Horizon's funds to provide safe houses and new identities. It was her way of giving back, but it was also a ticking time bomb. As the applause faded, Alex's eyes caught a familiar figure in the crowd, her estranged brother, Nathan Thornton. Their relationship had fractured when Alex transitioned. Now, as Nathan's cold gaze met hers, Alex felt a chill. She didn't know it yet, but Nathan had uncovered her secret, and he was about to use it to tear her world apart. While the world saw Alex Thornton as a tech titan, a select few knew her as a guardian angel in the shadows. In a dimly lit safe house on the outskirts of Oakland, Alex stood among a group of transgender teens, their faces etched with fear and hope. She handed them cash, new IDs, and a promise of safety, her own face a mask of compassion and secrecy. These teens had fled homes where they faced violence and rejection. Alex knew their pain. It was the same pain that had driven her from Ohio years ago. The underground network had roots in Horizon's early days, when Alex and Nathan had been partners, dreaming big in a cramped startup office. They had shared a vision, but their paths diverged when Alex's truth could no longer be hidden. At 35, she announced her transition to the world, standing at a podium with Horizon's logo, facing a sea of reporters. It was a moment of defiance. Years later, at a charity event, Alex met Casey, a 17-year-old transgender girl who had been kicked out by her parents. Alex took her in, paid for her education, and watched her thrive, shaking her hand with a promise to do more. Soon, Alex was funding a network of safe houses, using Horizon's resources. She justified it as a moral imperative, but deep down, she knew the truth. She was breaking the law, risking everything she had built. Her only confidant was Mia Chen, her assistant, who warned her of the dangers. In Alex's office, Mia's voice trembled as she spoke, papers of financial records on the desk. "The board will never forgive this, Alex," Mia said. "If this gets out, you'll lose everything." Alex listened, but she couldn't stop. The faces of those teens kept her going. Meanwhile, Nathan Thornton was consumed by bitterness. In his rundown apartment, he stared at a photo of him and Alex from Horizon's early days, his face a mask of resentment. Nathan had lost everything when he was ousted from Horizon. His career, his wealth, his pride. Now he had one thing left, a burning desire for revenge. He hired a private investigator, meeting him in a smoky bar, handing over a wad of cash with a determined glare. The investigator uncovered the underground network, the missing funds, the secret meetings. Nathan saw his chance. He wasn't alone in his vendetta. Victor Lang, a board member at Horizon, had his own ambitions, staring out at the city skyline with a calculating smirk, dreaming of taking over the company. Together, Nathan and Victor plotted to use the evidence against Alex, ensuring her downfall would be public and humiliating. At home, Alex's marriage to Lauren was strained. In their penthouse, Lauren confronted her, suitcase in hand, her face filled with hurt. "You've been distant, Alex," Lauren said, her voice breaking. "What's going on?" Alex couldn't bring herself to tell the truth, fearing Lauren would see her actions as a betrayal. As the meeting with Nathan approached, Nathan and Victor sealed their plan in a dark alley, shaking hands over a briefcase of documents. Back at Horizon's headquarters, Nathan confronted Alex in her sleek office, holding a USB drive with incriminating evidence. "I know what you've been doing, Alex," Nathan sneered, his voice dripping with venom. "Stealing from your own company to fund your little pet project. What do you think the board will say when they find out? Or the media? You'll be ruined." He demanded $10 million to keep quiet, a sum he knew Alex could pay, but one that would drain her personal accounts. Alex's mind raced. She thought of the teens she had saved, the lives she had changed. She thought of Lauren, who would be devastated by the scandal. And she thought of Horizon, the company she had poured her life into. She agreed to meet Nathan at a secluded warehouse to negotiate, hoping to buy his silence. But she had no idea the meeting would end in blood. The days leading up to the meeting were a blur of anxiety for Alex. She confided in Mia, who urged her to come clean to the board before Nathan could expose her. But Alex couldn't bring herself to do it. She had worked too hard to build Horizon, to prove that a transgender woman could lead a tech empire. She couldn't let Nathan destroy it all. In her penthouse, Alex prepared for the meeting with Nathan, packing a briefcase with $5 million in cash, her face a mix of fear and determination. The warehouse on the outskirts of San Francisco loomed ominously as Alex arrived, her car parked outside under the cover of night. Inside, the air was thick with the smell of rust and oil. Alex clutched the briefcase. Half of Nathan's demand, a desperate attempt to buy time. Nathan was already there, pacing like a predator. "You think this is enough?" he spat, kicking the briefcase open, bills spilling onto the floor. "I want it all, Alex. You owe me." The argument escalated quickly. Nathan's words turned venomous, laced with transphobic slurs that cut Alex to her core. "You're a freak," he shouted, stepping closer. "You think you can just erase who you were? You ruined our family, and now you're ruining this company." Alex tried to reason with him, her voice trembling but firm. "I built Horizon, Nathan. I saved lives with that money. You don't understand what it's like to live in fear, to have to hide who you are." But Nathan wasn't listening. He lunged at her, his hands reaching for her throat, his rage blinding him. In a moment of panic, Alex pulled a knife from her coat pocket, a small blade she had brought for protection, never intending to use it. As Nathan grabbed her, she stabbed him in self-defense, the blade sinking into his chest. He staggered back, blood staining his shirt, his eyes wide with shock. He collapsed to the floor, his breathing shallow, and within moments he was gone. Alex stood frozen, the knife slipping from her hand, her mind racing with the realization of what she had done. She had killed her own brother. The hours that followed were a blur of fear and desperation. Alex staged the scene to look like a robbery gone wrong, breaking a window, her hands trembling as Nathan's body lay in the background. She drove home in a daze, her hands shaking on the steering wheel, the weight of her actions crushing her. Back at her penthouse, Alex entered quietly, her face pale, hands still trembling, Lauren asleep on the couch in the background, unaware of the nightmare unfolding. She tried to act normal, but Lauren saw through her facade. "What's wrong, Alex?" Lauren asked, her voice soft but firm, as she comforted a sobbing Alex. "Talk to me." Alex wanted to confess everything. The network, the funds, Nathan's death, but the words wouldn't come. Instead, she broke down, sobbing in Lauren's arms, unable to tell the truth. Lauren held her, but the rift between them grew wider, a chasm of unspoken secrets. Meanwhile, the police began investigating Nathan's death. Detective Elena Vasquez, a tenacious Latina woman, arrived at the warehouse crime scene, examining the broken window with a focused expression. Elena quickly saw through the staged robbery. There were no fingerprints on the broken window, and the cash was untouched, suggesting the killer had a personal motive. She interviewed Victor Lang, a board member at Horizon, in a sleek boardroom, his face calm but calculating as he dropped subtle hints about Alex's unethical behavior. Victor saw his chance to strike. In a dark office, he leaked anonymous tips to the media, a smirk on his face as he set the stage for Alex's downfall. The whispers spread like wildfire, and soon, a journalist named Ryan Carter picked up the story. In his cluttered office, Ryan pinned photos and documents to a corkboard, including a picture of Alex, his expression determined. Ryan had a personal stake in the case. His younger sibling was transgender, and he had seen firsthand the prejudice they faced. Looking at a photo of his sibling, Ryan's face filled with resolve, vowing to find the truth, no matter where it led. The investigation was heating up, and Alex's world was about to come crashing down. The storm broke with a vengeance. Outside Horizon Innovations headquarters, a swarm of reporters gathered, their microphones and cameras a wall of scrutiny, a giant screen displaying Alex's face with the headline, "CEO's Double Life Exposed." Ryan Carter's investigation had uncovered the missing funds, the underground network, and Nathan's blackmail attempt. He published a scathing article in the San Francisco Chronicle, detailing Alex's double life and linking it to Nathan's death. The media frenzy was relentless. Talk shows debated whether Alex was a hero or a criminal, while tabloids ran sensational headlines about her secret transgender agenda. At Horizon, the board called an emergency meeting, with Victor Lang leading the charge against Alex, who stood defiantly at the head of the table. "She's been stealing from us for years," Victor declared, his voice dripping with false indignation. "We can't trust her to lead this company." Alex fought back, her voice steady despite the chaos. "Everything I did was to help those who had no one else," she said, her eyes blazing with conviction. "I built this company, and I'll fight for it." But the board was unmoved. They voted to suspend her, pending a full investigation. The fallout was immediate. Horizon's stock plummeted 30% overnight, red numbers flashing on stock market screens as traders scrambled. The fallout was personal as well as professional. Lauren, who had learned the truth from Ryan's article, confronted Alex in their penthouse. "You lied to me," Lauren said, holding the article, her voice breaking. "For years, you kept this from me. I thought we were a team." Alex tried to explain, her words tumbling out in a rush. "I didn't want to burden you, Lauren. I thought I could handle it on my own. I was trying to do good." But Lauren couldn't see past the betrayal. She packed a bag and walked out, leaving Alex watching from the doorway, her face devastated. Mia, too, turned against her. Fearing legal repercussions, Mia leaked incriminating documents to the board, hoping to save herself. "I'm sorry, Alex," she said, tears in her eyes as she handed over the files, Victor watching approvingly. Alex felt the sting of betrayal, but she couldn't blame Mia. She had put her assistant in an impossible position, and now they were both paying the price. Detective Vasquez's investigation was closing in. She interviewed Mia at the police station, Mia looking nervous as a recorder sat on the table. Mia revealed Nathan's blackmail attempt, giving Elena a crucial lead. Elena then met Ryan in a coffee shop, where he shared his evidence, both looking determined to uncover the truth. The pieces were coming together, and Vasquez began to suspect Alex's involvement in Nathan's death. She obtained a warrant and led police officers into Alex's penthouse, searching through her belongings. The search paid off. Elena found traces of Nathan's blood on a coat Alex had worn that night, holding it up with a grim expression. The evidence was mounting, and Alex knew her time was running out. Alone in her penthouse, staring out at the city skyline, Alex's face was filled with despair. The media had painted her as a villain, a thief who had betrayed her own company. The board had officially fired her, and the police were closing in, their warrant a ticking clock. Alex knew she couldn't face the trial, the public humiliation, the inevitable prison sentence. Her world had crumbled, and she saw no way out. In the solitude of her penthouse, Alex sat at her desk, the city skyline visible through a rain-streaked window, a bottle of pills on the table, a letter in front of her. She had lost everything. Her company, her marriage, her reputation. She wrote a letter, her final act of defiance and truth. "I only wanted to help," she wrote, her handwriting shaky but resolute. "I built Horizon to change the world, but I also built a network to save lives. I'm not a thief and I'm not a murderer. I'm a woman who tried to do right in a world that often does wrong. To the transgender youth I helped, I hope you find the freedom I never could. To Lauren, I'm sorry I couldn't be the partner you deserved. To the world, I hope you learn from my story." She signed her name, placed the letter on the desk, and took the pills, her vision fading as the rain outside mirrored the tears on her cheeks. The next morning, Lauren found her, entering the penthouse to find Alex's body at the desk, her face frozen in horror. Her screams echoed through the empty space as she realized what Alex had done. The news of Alex's suicide spread quickly, dominating headlines with the words, "Tech CEO commits suicide amid scandal." It sparked a wave of grief and outrage. Transgender activists called for justice, arguing that Alex had been driven to her death by a society that refused to accept her. Corporate watchdogs demanded reforms, pointing to Horizon's failure to support its CEO. And the public, once quick to judge, began to see Alex in a new light, a flawed but compassionate woman who had paid the ultimate price for her secrets. Detective Vasquez closed the case, ruling Nathan's death as self-defense based on the evidence and Alex's letter. She attended Alex's memorial, a small gathering organized by Lauren, who spoke at a podium, a crowd of mourners behind her. "She was trying to save others," Lauren said, her voice choked with emotion. "I wish I had seen that sooner." Horizon, under new leadership, pledged to support transgender youth, announcing the Alex Thornton Foundation at a press event. The foundation would carry on Alex's mission, ensuring her legacy lived on, even as her life had ended in tragedy. In the weeks that followed, Ryan Carter stood at a press conference in front of the San Francisco courthouse, holding up his exposé article, a crowd of activists with signs reading "Justice for Trans Lives" behind him. Ryan's article had sparked a national conversation, forcing the world to confront the cost of transphobia, the ethics of corporate power, and the weight of secrets. Horizon Innovations pledged to support transgender youth, establishing a foundation in Alex's name. Alexandra Thornton's story became a symbol, a reminder that even the most powerful among us can fall, but also that their legacy can rise again. Her double life had destroyed all she held dear, but in its ashes, a new movement was born, one that promised to fight for a world where no one has to hide who they are. The foundation's first act was to fund a scholarship for transgender youth, ensuring that Casey, the girl who had inspired Alex's mission, could finish her education and become an advocate in her own right. Alex's story, though tragic, left a ripple effect, inspiring countless others to speak out, to fight for justice, and to live authentically in a world that often demands conformity. Thank you for joining us on this emotional journey through the transgender CEO's double life, secrets that destroyed all. We hope Alex's story left you thinking about the power of secrets and the fight for acceptance. Her journey reminds us that even in our darkest moments, there's a chance to leave a lasting impact, to inspire change, and to fight for a better world. If you enjoyed this tale, please give it a like, share it with your friends, and subscribe to Story Room by Rico for more gripping stories every week. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. What did you think of Alex's choices? What would you have done in her place? Your feedback means the world to us, and we love hearing your perspectives. Until then, stay curious, and we'll see you in the next story.